Thanks, Joe. That was great. Hello, everyone. My name's Brian Dowd. Here I'm known as the Walkabout Barber. There's a bit more to me about that, I guess. It took a long way and a long time for me to get to where I am today, standing here in front of you guys. And I'm going to have a little chat about that along the way today. So before I kick off, country, we're on still on your country here? Yes, thank you. And thank you, for your welcome to country. I really enjoyed that. I really appreciate it. Yamdoi Ningandoi Gamilroi na Google Gawudano, Gilgabana Wudano, Ewan, Ninyali Wengali Wudano Marai. I'm speaking Gamilroi. It's good to be on Ewan country. I've asked them old people for safe passage. I've done that every day because I want them old people to know that I'm here. I want them to see me, I want them to feel me, I want them to hear me. I've got important stuff to say. I'm a 48-year-old man from a little town called Katungul, northwest New South Wales. I've got 3 older sisters, I'm the only boy. I grew up in a household that I didn't think had trauma, but now I look back, it was there. Dad drank a lot. He drank a lot because his mum died when he was 5. His father walked out on him. He got reared on a mission by his aunties and grandmother. So my dad was one of those things that we heard earlier, a survivor. Age of 10, he was working on the trucks and putting in elevators at the age of 14, 15, travelling around the country, didn't know who he was, what he was doing, because he was lost. He didn't have that nurturing, he didn't have that connection, he didn't have that love from a mum or a dad. So I guess my father struggled growing up. And when you struggle growing up, you develop survival techniques. You throw punches first, ask questions later. You close yourself off, you disconnect from people, and what you do is you try to look after you best way you can. Some people steal, some people beg, some people use anger, some people use frustration. Whatever it is, it's a survival technique. And it's a tough life. So I watched my dad go through that, and he drank a lot. And I love my dad. I still got him. He's 80 this year. And he hasn't touched a drop of alcohol since he was 60. So he's 20 years clean, and that's probably about the same as me with drug addiction as well, or when I was dabbling in drugs. I don't think I was addicted. I think I was just very lost, very disconnected, and used it as something that I thought would...
To cover up.
100%.
You used it to cover up your hurt, on the inside. Cover up your hurt on the inside. I believe that you covering up
That's
the hurt that you've hurt on the inside. That's why I just let you know that I can see that you cover up the hurt on the inside.
100%, bro.
I hear what you're saying, but I heard you cover up the hurt that you had on.
Deadly.
So that's how I just speak up and let the people know.
Yeah, exactly what he's saying.
The hurt that I can see that you're saying, brother.
We all cover something. We all cover it in some way, shape or form.
Yeah.
So I walked past my dad's bedroom one day and he was sitting on the bed crying. I've never seen my dad cry in his life.
Yeah.
And I stopped. And for the first time I didn't see him as an alcoholic or that he was angry. I seen him as a man that needed help. And I asked him, are you okay? And he started to talk to me and tell me about the hurt that he carried.
Yeah.
And I think something clicked in me that day as well, because he gave me an opportunity to see him as a different person, and I started looking at myself as a different person. I still made a lot of mistakes. I got picked up by the Newcastle Knights when I was 21, 22 to go down with a pre-season contract to go down to Newcastle. Took all my problems with me that I had. There was racism, there was relationship problems, family problems. So when I landed, I was pretty much in trouble before I even started.
Yeah.
I found I went down a different path, and there's stories and parts of my story that I'm not happy and not proud of, but it's made me who I am today. Okay, I was on my way to jail for a long time. I broke a bloke's jaw, fractured his skull. He was pronounced dead for 15 minutes. Police got ambulance, took him up to the hospital. He was in a coma for a few weeks, and I was on the run from the police. So I didn't instigate that fight. It's something that happened, and I was a victim of circumstance where I was called a racist name. And growing up in a little racist town where you're called black this and black that, and you're no good, it cuts deep, and eventually it comes out in a different way.
Comes
and you
out
explode.
in anger. Comes out in anger.
So I went down that path. I became homeless at 26, tried to take my own life at 27, spent the next 3 years working on me, and by the age of 30 I realised I just saved my life, and it was about me helping other people save theirs. You can only assist in that process. You can't save people. It takes the person to save themselves. But you can open up many doors, you can open up many pathways for them to take and for them to be invited in. But it's up to that person to take that on. I'm just going to get a show of hands, and I want you to keep your hands up when I ask about trauma, and if there's trauma in this room. And I don't mean to put people on the spot, but I just want to show how a group of different people coming from all different places and different backgrounds can still come into contact with trauma. Okay? So I want people to put their hands up if they've ever been neglected by someone in your life. Put your hand up, straight up, and keep it up. If you've ever been abused by someone, physically, emotionally, spiritually, put your hand up. If you ever lost somebody that you love and they've never gotten over it, put your hand up, please. Okay? If you look around, there's people with their hands up, and there's a lot of different people from different backgrounds. And what that goes to say to me and shows to me that trauma affects us all. Everyone, you can put your hands down now. It affects us all, and affects us in a different way. No matter who we are, black fella, white fella, brown fella, yellow fella, and green fellas up here that come down and visit every now and then. It doesn't matter who we are, it affects us. And I talked the last couple of days about how it affects us. It affects us as spiritual beings, emotional beings, and mental beings. And when I spoke the other day, I spoke about where does trauma sit inside people? Yes, it sits inside your head, it sits inside your heart, it sits inside your spirit. A lot of the time when people go through mental health or mental well-being issues, there's an underlying factor. A lot of the time when people emotionally disconnect from others, loved ones, friends, family, there's an underlying factor. And that's the trauma that's occurred. And a trauma is something that happens in your journey that changes the direction of who you are and what you're doing. And it can be loss, grief, abuse, neglect. Okay? It can be relationship issues. It can be things like failure. How many people in this room has failed at something? Put your hand straight up. How does it make you feel when you fail something? Like, brother, how does it make you feel?
Terrible.
It's terrible.
Absolutely terrible.
Yeah, anyone else?
Embarrassing.
Embarrassing.
It hurts from the inside when you don't catch what you want to do, and if you don't achieve what you want to do, it hurts on the inside as well as the outside. That's
Yes.
what I've got to say. It hurts as well on the inside as well as the outside. It rips your life apart. That's what I'm just saying. It rips your life apart and makes you want to kill yourself.
Yep, sis?
I think it's the ripple effect.
Yeah,
That hurts mine.
it is. What I've found over the years, I've failed so many times, I've failed lots. I've failed in relationships, I've failed in sport, employment, I failed my mum, I failed my dad, I failed my sisters, you know. And one thing when I had children, I said, I don't want to fail them.
Yeah.
I don't want to pass on my hurt
To your children.
into them. And we talk about transgenerational trauma when we start passing that hurt on. Now, us as Aboriginal people and Torres Strait Islander people and clan people, so I'm a Gomeroi man, you know, so a lot of the times when we talk about being Aboriginal, when somebody asks you, what, you know, are you Aboriginal? A lot of people will say, I'm a Wiradjuri, I'm Gomeroi, I'm Yuin. That's our first starting point. And Aboriginal is a definition, I guess, of a part of who we are. but we're different, and we're different to that as well. Transgenerational trauma gets passed on from grandmother to daughter to her daughter, and so on. So that line, unless it's fixed, unless it's stopped, it will continue to flow through that family group and tear that family apart. It takes a strong person to break the cycle. It takes strong people to stand up here and talk about their stories, like Joey and myself, and we've got beautiful, strong women around the country that do the same. So when we talk about transgenerational trauma and we talk about passing hurt on to young people, and we talk about failure, what I've found and what I've learned is failure is not falling down, failure is not giving back up. I don't see a failure in this room, not one person's a failure here. All we are is we're spiritual beings that have gone through a process in life that we've attempted things, but we just didn't have the right tools in our toolbox to complete them. Yeah, look, if I knew what I knew now, I could have been an NRL superstar, but I wasn't meant to be. I'm meant to be Brian Dowd, the Walkabout Barber, who stands before you today. I'm meant to be the father who I am destined to be. I'm the most loyal husband that anyone can be. 20 plus years ago, I was none of that. So instead of being a survivor, I've turned that into a thriver. I don't want to be a survivor anymore. I want to be a thriver. I want to walk into everything that I do in life and knock it out of the ballpark. And if I fail, I'll fall down, I'll get back up, and I'll reinvent myself, and I'll try again. Okay, so there's no such thing as failure in this room. All right, but what we do is, when we go through traumatic events, we look at ourselves as a failure. We look at what have I done to deserve this? We start blaming, we start victimising ourselves, and then our egos start dropping in and playing a part too. And that ego can come in and say, you could have been this, you could have been that, but look what you did. I'm better than these people, or I'm better than that person, and so on. So ego plays a very tough part in this. And it's about when you can drop your ego. And in a lot of our communities, I see our communities are broken, like Joey said, disconnected. I travel a lot of our communities are broken. The fabric of who we are is broken. Doesn't mean it's not repairable, but there's a dislocation there that creates a broken process. Our kids are walking the streets, uncontrollable in a lot of communities. Our mums and dads are dealing with stuff where they're drinking out of the bottle and unfortunately putting that needle where it shouldn't be, and so on. No one's born bad. When we're born into this world, we're born as innocent human beings. When we come from them old people, we come as innocent human beings. And we come into this world as those innocent human beings. And when we start hanging around our caregivers are supposed to nurture, support, embrace. A lot of people will get that nurturing, that support, that embracement. And they will live sheltered lives where they get looked after and they get given the things that they need to thrive. A lot of children don't get the love, they don't get the support, they don't get the nurturing, they don't get the cuddles, they don't get the kisses. Therefore, they don't thrive, they survive. And they become survivors from a young age. Put up your hand here if you believe that you've been nurtured well and you've had, I guess, that early part of your life, you've had great teachers and you've lived a sheltered life. Put up your hand if you reckon you've had that. I just want to see hands that think that they had to grow up as little men and little women before their time because they had to survive. Put up your hand if you had to do that.
And
Okay.
there's power in that. There's lots of
100%.
power. There's lots and lots
You got a lot of power, brother.
Lots of power in
I love
that,
this.
brother. I definitely say that. I've got lots of power in my love and respect.
Brother, you got a good aura.
I love and respect all the people, brother.
Good on you.
I've got lots of respect for all my, even, I don't care, white, brindle, purple, I respect every
That's it.
single person.
That's it.
In the whole entire world, everyone's got respect for me, brother.
Beautiful,
That's what I
brother.
say. Everyone's got respect for me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, brother.
So, when we come into this world, we either get the nurturing or we don't. We either live a sheltered life or we live an unsheltered life. We either become survivors or we become thrivers. When we start hanging around our caregivers, we start becoming like them. When we start hanging around people who nurture us, we start acting like them and becoming like them. And also the environment that we're brought up in can be a tough environment. We can grow up tough. A soft environment, or soft person. Okay. Throughout life, when you're born, for the first 25 years of your life, that's your period of youth. 25 to 60 is a period of middle age, and 60 to 100 plus is a period of old age. So your youth, your middle age, and your old age are all connected. And they're connected through your spiritual and physical journeys. So your spirit and your physical journey will be connecting constantly. And when they connect to talk to each other, what happens is they will share their story. So the spirit will say to the physical journey, what are you doing on your life? You know, what are you doing? And the physical journey says, well, I go to a thing called work, I go to a sport, I play sport, I do this, I do that. The physical journey will say to the spiritual journey, what do you do? I go on country, I know where I'm from, my totem is the Sango winner. So your spirit will start talking to the spirit. And all the way, spirit and physical journey will go out, they'll connect and keep on connecting like two big rainbow serpents talking to each other. When you have a traumatic event, it puts a blockage between those two connecting. So they'll go out, they'll learn, when they come back to talk, if the blockage is there, and the blockage could be addiction or bad habit, they can't connect, so they disconnect and they go on. And throughout life, if you've got that blockage in the way, you don't connect spiritually and physically, you become lost. And you've seen people who become lost, you watch them walk around the community, and you can see the people who are struggling. We mustn't judge those people. It's up to them old people to judge. All we've got to do is observe, and through our observance, offer hope and offer help. And that's what I see like services like Katungul do, and services that are out there that are doing these things. They're helping people get on their feet. There's enough jealousy, there's enough hate, there's enough hurt out in our communities, there's enough of it. We don't have to add to it. We can't put a brother or sister down, we've got to lift and help a brother or sister up. And the only way we can do that is by knowing that you're no better than them, they're no better than you, we're all equal in this journey called life. Okay? So throughout my path and throughout my journey, you know, I've fallen down, I've got back up, and I've had to reinvent myself along the way. Okay? Before Walkabout Barber, I did a program called Black on Trap, travelled the country, sitting with men, talking. Then I went into the people mechanic work. I did a lot of corporate training, cleansing and healing training. Picked up a few little, degrees, a degree in that along the way from uni, and then, I went into the Walkabout Barber journey. My little boy was diagnosed with autism, so that's how that journey started. He didn't like haircuts. I bought a set of clippers, went from there. I fell in love with the clippers, and I reinvented myself down that journey. If we stayed on the same path, you get the same result. So sometimes you just got to veer off a little bit for a different point of view. Okay? So trauma, and healing come hand in hand. Without one, you can't have the other. And what I do say to people, and what I do ask for people to do, is just be honest with yourself. Be honest with people around you. Talk. Communicate. Ask for help. Help's not a dirty word. First time I asked for help, it was the hardest thing I ever did. Because I got raised by a father who was tough. And I wasn't allowed to cry, I wasn't allowed to show emotion when I was little. Even when I got hurt, don't just sit. It was like that. So I couldn't even remember crying until I got to my mid-20s. And then when I had my breakdown, that was the first time I truly cried. And the tears wouldn't stop. And they haven't stopped since. They come out for the most hurtful reasons now, the most beautiful reasons. And your children bring them out both ways, angry and good tears. Okay, so look, you know, like Joey said, you know, connection is important, but also, you know, culture is important, and to be connected to those two things is paramount. Okay. I was going to do some stuff on the board, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do some work with the Katungul team over the next few days, next week. So I'll be offloading a lot of tools to the team, and that team will be then sharing those tools out in the community, social emotional wellbeing tools. You know, I'm living proof that if you work on yourself, you can do anything, and I haven't stopped yet. The world's my oyster. I'm going to continue on. You know, you get a lot of knockers along the way, you get a lot of naysayers, you get a lot of people that put you down, and sometimes that ego comes in and does that, and sometimes you've got to actually, even though you're a good person and you're a kind person, you still got to watch that, because it can creep up and knock you down and make you feel like, you know, inadequate sometimes, and then you start treating people differently. So you've got to stop that and take a step back and take a step outside of yourself to be able to change that. Okay? For people that are hurting in this space here today, here for whatever reason, I see you, I feel you, and we want to hear from you. Okay? Somebody's trauma that might not be much for someone is a lot to somebody else. Okay? And I know we're resilient people. I know that we've had to be. Okay? But now what we've got to do is we've got to heal the right way. And it can't be through drinking and through laughing it off and gambling and doing it the wrong way, which I see a lot of our communities do. And guess what? You can still have fun. You don't have to be a robot. You can enjoy yourself. But if that thing that you're doing is destroying who you are and the social fabric of everything that you got that you love, it needs to be stopped. Okay? My drug wasn't alcohol, my drug wasn't cocaine or anything like that. Mine was gambling. I had a gambling addiction from a young age. I remember sitting around since I was 5-year-old, you know, playing cards, money, went onto the tab, went onto the horses and pokies and all that sort of stuff. We've got to address these issues, because if we don't, you're lying to yourself. Everyone out there's got a bit of dirt swept under the carpet. Some hide it a bit better than others. Okay? Some have it all out exposed for others. Don't mean they're better or worse, it just means that they're equal. Okay? So we're going to be doing haircuts at the front. We've got the beauty service going. Sorry ladies, we can't cut everyone's hair, all the girls. We'll be here all day.
We're disappointed.
It'll be too long. We can cut short hair, that's quite easy. The layering and the sectioning off, man, that takes too long and you're too fussy. and we've got some fussy boys in the crowd, so don't worry about that. But look, what we built that for community. In our first 12 months, we visited 36 communities around Australia in a little trailer that I built. It was only a barber shop. I get blackfellas from all over, and I give them an opportunity, and I try to give people routine, structure and balance. And the hardest thing to do is not reward people for bad behaviour. Because when bad behaviour presents itself, what you've got to do is you can't reward people and go, yeah, it's going to be okay, bro, you're right. Because what you're doing is you're setting that person up for failure. If somebody's promoting bad behaviour, you've got to act on that and tell them that. And I've had barbers that come and go, and I've had barbers that come and stay. And it's all up to them how long they stay for and what they do. I don't reward no one for bad behaviour. Everyone's got a story about Brian Dowd, oh he did this to me or he done that to me. I'll tell you now, I'll cut the story straight. They do things to themselves. I give people opportunity. I've probably got one of the biggest hearts you could ever see, but I give people opportunity.
I just want to ask you a question. It's not so much negative, but how did it feel going to some places that weren't black folk country, that weren't black, you know, for You've been in Munsell workshop. How was that to you? Because you opened something as an Aboriginal person. They,
Brother, I'll tell you something. In my barbershop in Newcastle, 90% of my clients are white.
yeah.
You know why? Because all our brothers and sisters, or mainly brothers, like, you know, our own mob are the biggest judges of all. And I hate saying that. But 90% of my clients are non-Aboriginal people, and only 5% of people that come into my shop in Newcastle are our mob. Why is that? I've heard a few reasons. I don't want to make Dowdy rich. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do... Guess what? We've got to drop that ego. We've got to drop that. We've got to lift and we've got to build business. We've got to have black business. If we talk about black people supporting black business, we've got to do it. That's where healing is. Supporting our own. And I know my uncle Wallo, he had a funeral service and he was doing coffins, and amazing. Our mob should have been going to that next place wrapped in those beautiful totems and colours. But guess what? Our mob are our own worst enemy. If we had all our mob supporting businesses like this, we would thrive. There'd be black fellas in jobs. There'd be social enterprises going on. When I talk to little kids, I say, "What do you want to be when you get older?" "I want to be a doctor." I said, "How about running your own business?" We need business owners, and we need a new wave of support for people coming through. I don't point the finger at people in Newcastle. Yeah, I'll name that, but guess what? I'm okay. The business is okay. And the doors are open for my brothers and sisters to come into that shop. And when they're ready, I won't judge them. What I'll do is I'll bring them in and I'll say, "Thanks for coming through."
Brian, can I add something to that? With what you said too, there's a fear. There's a fear of that failure, of what people are going to think, and that shame that comes on with it. Drop the fear.
Yeah.
Drop that fear. And that's in everything as well.
100%.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're going to give more people opportunities, we're going to grow, and we're going to continue coming to the community. And I don't care what faction in the community that I cut or that I yarn with. Okay, I'm not taking no one's fight up, and I don't want to defend no one's fight. What I want to do is I want to create a space where people can actually start looking at ending that fight for themselves and say, I've got to accept, understand, make choices and take ownership that if I continue on this path, guess what? I'm going to hurt and I'm going to keep hating. And it's not just our mob, we see it in other communities too. Okay, I love our people, I love what we do, but healing starts by making change, and we've got to change a lot of parts of our process. And there's people to help with that, okay? So, you know, talk when you're in the chair, talk to the beauty therapist, have a yarn. You know, we've got a young beauty therapist out there, her dad's not well. I said, "Do you want to go home?" He said, "No. I want to be in community and I want to help everyone where I turn up." And that there to me, that's amazing. And that shows not only her resilience, but that shows her willingness to give to others, even though she feels like she's not giving to herself. So, you know, I could keep talking, but I'm not gonna. I just want to thank everyone for being here. I want to thank all the guest speakers that spoke this week. I want to thank Nige for all the deadly work he's done with our children, our organisers, Katungul, you know, for funding this and getting people like myself and Joey and the teams out. You've not only put food on our tables for our families, but you've also employed people this week out here. I've got a young fella from Mount Druitt, a young fella from Canberra, I've got 2 girls from Newcastle, you know, I've got my head barber here. So the money that we make, we build our business, we build another trailer, we build another bus. We start leasing that out to community, teaching young kids how to cut hair, how to become beauty therapists. And we put that in the community so that can be community controlled, not controlled by us, but that can be controlled by that community to be able to give that next generation of kids hope that we can make a change. Because a lot of our kids, and I said this the other day, and I'm not going to back off on that. If you fix home, you fix everywhere else. Yes, our kids have got a lot of pressure in society, on social medias and that, but guess what? If you fix home, if home's got a good foundation of acceptance, good walls of understanding and choices and a good roof of ownership, inside that house, there'll be hope, there'll be love, and there'll be connection. It's when home is broken, when there's no routine, there's no structure, no balance, these kids go looking for that or looking for it from somewhere else. If we fix our mums and dads, our aunties and uncles, sometimes even our nans and pops, we don't just fix our home, we fix our community and we fix our culture. And I think if we can do that, we're on the path for great things. So thank you very much, and I really appreciate being up here. I'm really honoured, and like I said, Joe and I will be walking around today. Come and have a yarn with us. We don't know everything, but what we do know we will give to you and we will share with you. Okay? Big love to you all. Next time you see Walkabout Barber up here, jump in, get a crew cut, get your eyebrows done. All right, thank you very much.